All right, so this was fun. This was awesome. Okay,
Yes.
this was the first ever 15-minute drill live on Chess TV. I'm going to try to come up with some ways to make this even a little bit more interactive and fun for not just the fans, but for you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, yeah.
So I just looked at the 10th one. Is the answer Rook C7?
Uh, exactly what I wanted you to do. This was the last one was a prophylactic exercise. Rook to C7 loses on the spot to Rook to C5. Brilliant move, and White can resign.
Oh, Lord, you're right. Okay. I just looked at it briefly. I was curious.
Yep. Well, it's prophylaxis, right? This one was going to be one where the move was so obvious. Probably with time you would have smelt a rat and you would have realized. But Rook to C7. So this would have been your position where I would have had White to move, and pretty much any move besides Rook to C7, like trading queens or move the queen, I would have counted as right. The only move that you can go wrong with is Rook to C7 because of Rook to C5. So, all right.
That's an amazing
so you got
exercise. I just want to say.
Yeah, so you got to all 10. Now, notice the balance of the positions I chose, right? I mean, on purpose, these are basically all from real games, right? The balance is, you've got everything from positional exercises where you need to find this move C5 and recognize the ability to squeeze your opponent and not convince yourself to open the position just because you want to. We've got positions like the force mate in 8, which is really just a pure test in your ability to calculate ahead, recognize, the opportunity to keep the king in this sort of critically awkward position. This is a study. So this is one of the few doing studies is a little different than real games because by definition you feel like they're slightly less practical because it's a position that is not impossible but maybe improbable to reach, because when you look at the position you're like, how the bleep did the bishop get on b8, right? But studies can be very useful for people's calculation if they really push themselves to solve them start to finish. That's just advice. Like, if people are feeling like, I don't like to solve studies, if you really push yourself to solve studies, a lot of them have things in common. Like, they do require sort of in-depth calculation, which helps you with your visualization muscles and really allows you to, like, remove the cloud and the fog in your head so you push yourself to see as deeply as you can. That's where this one can be really useful. Then we saw ones where you're sort of trying to draw. We saw ones where, your goal, like the last one, is not to play the only move that loses, right? It's a prophylaxis exercise, right?
Yeah.
So any future 15-minute drills will be similar to this, all right? And I like that. I feel like I chose a right amount of positions because you should be on the edge of whether or not you're going to solve it, right? It should come down to one or two puzzles. I think probably overall, I probably made this a little bit harder than I should have. But as we continue to progress and try to do these exercises to, again, it's instructive because every individual position is kind of interesting and useful in its own right. But the overall goal is time management, pushing yourself to quickly take, the appropriate stock of the position, learn how to value the commodities of the chessboard, right? Quickly recognize what's strong about your position, what you want to sell at a higher price, and what's weak about your opponent's position, what you want to exploit there, right? And the more your muscles do that, the more you can have the ability to trust your intuition like Rajabov did under time pressure and find moves like Rook takes G7, because like those types of alarm bells go off, your muscles, your calculation muscles just never miss that chance, right? It becomes intuitive in terms of its second nature. The moment your opponent puts a piece in an awkward, vulnerable spot, you never miss the chance to expose that tactically. And that's the goal we're always trying to get to, because strong players have to be opportunistic because their chances to win may be only one opportunity, if that. And that's how we build our opportunistic muscles, recognizing, letting those alarm bells and always being able to quickly recognize what's weak in our opponent's position. And an exercise like the 15-minute drill, because it's so hard to balance this time that's ticking away and the 5-minute punishment that I give you, right? It really pushes you to kind of build those muscles. So that's the goal today. Hopefully you enjoyed the lesson, and hopefully everybody enjoyed the lecture in the chat. And that's it. That's all I got. That was my summary. That was my lesson for today.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. Great lesson. Like, I feel like I learned some things. I feel like this was good.
All right. Well, a lot of fun. Thanks everybody for being here. There is a lot of people were guessing in the chat. Thanks for playing along. It looks like very few of you were actually using engines. The Varix just tunes in on Twitch. The rook doesn't move diagonally. That's correct, okay? But that's what happens when you're not paying attention to the full conversation, right? You know when you walk in and people are having a conversation and you're like, wait, what? And you make them restart the whole conversation? right? Because you're completely behind. Anyway, this is a lot of fun, John. We will do Amateur Hour again soon.
Yeah.
Appreciate everyone's feedback. Let us know how you liked it, and we'll talk later. Peace out.
Sounds good.